I'm Michael Krigsman, industry analyst and host of CXOTalk. And I'm talking with Tayfun Yigit, who is the Chief Information Officer of the Index Group in Turkey. And the Index Group is a large distributor of computer products in Turkey. Tayfun, tell us about the Index Group.
Okay. Index Group is a 27-year-old company and the number one-stop IT distributor in our country. We control around 40% of the market and have been the leader of the market since 2000, which is around 16 years now. We work with approximately 4,500 channel partners, and last year's global revenue was around $1.2 billion annually.
So you have 40% market share. That's an extraordinary number.
Yeah, but there's not much room for many distributors. The market is mainly controlled by the distributors appointed by our vendors, the brand owners like Lenovo, Asus, Apple, any brand you can imagine currently being distributed here in Turkey. So that's the business model for the vendors. So what they do is they appoint several distributors, and namely we are one of them, and thankfully we are kind of the greatest for the last 16 years now.
I am sure that the market and the competitive landscape has changed very significantly over this period of time, and probably especially during the last 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 years. So tell us about that, please.
Yeah, exactly. You are very much right. And margins are getting narrower every day, and it's becoming more and more competitive every day. The distributors are seeking ways, new methods of business in the markets for their larger market share. They compete with each other and also trying to adapt to the consumer needs as days go by. So naturally, we experience all these issues firsthand, and we must develop new methods and ways to adapt to these issues that we come across every day.
How are you managing and addressing the changes that have hit your industry?
We have several responses to these issues, and the first is we are trying to invest more and more to the IT and increase the efficiency of our resources, mainly human resources, because most of our cost is human resources. And so we are trying to do business more efficiently through the use of the facilitation of IT operations. The second thing is we are trying to expand to new markets, our neighbors, former Soviet Union markets, historically Turkish origin countries like Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Uzbekistan, and similar countries like that. Another thing we are doing is we are trying to align with the consumer market better through the investment of resources to mobile computing, mostly mobile phones, tablets, phablets, and things alike. So we are kind of trying to diversify and proliferate our services.
It sounds like you're undertaking business model changes that are pretty significant as well in this mix.
That's right. The IT issue is a kind of important and hot issue for us because we migrated to SAP on January 1st of this year, 2016. And that was a big change for us because we used to run our in-house developed ERP system. And now, thanks to the large ecosystem and infrastructure provided by SAP, we are much more agile. So kind of goal number one achieved. We are improving our efficiency through the change in our IT infrastructure this way. And another thing is we are reorganizing and re-engineering our business processes naturally because things have to change and adapt to all these mentioned new developments. Human resources is kind of key element in our job. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to choose the right people for the right job. This is another trick maybe we use to adapt to our newly emerging requirements. So, of course, the new landscapes, the new countries, etc., new markets are natural, and it's a standard sales and marketing thing we do, and like every company.
When you say that you needed to become more agile and you're relying on your systems to help with that, can you elaborate on what specifically you mean by that? How does it directly impact the business?
Okay, that's a very nice question. IT business requires lots of manpower and development efforts to put a new process into use. Every day, a new requirement comes up from our vendors, from our group of companies, the management teams, the sales force, etc., and our natural business expansion actions, etc. So we have to develop and tweak our software every day. In the old days, this took a lot of time. After we receive a new requirement, the actual go live or the actual implementation took around, let's say, 4 weeks. But now, thanks to this large infrastructure and ecosystem and plumbing provided by SAP, we kind of reduced this to approximately 4 days, just comparatively. So it's a magnitude faster that we develop our systems depending on our requirements. So that's a very large efficiency. With the same team, we output much more productivity and products and services to our clients, which is the company personnel and business.
So so your business is based around people, as you said earlier, and so it sounds like the consolidation of systems is enabling your people to get things done much faster, which of course that level of efficiency can change your operations.
Exactly. That's the key issue. The efficiency was the main goal for us, and trying to do much more with the same or even maybe less resources. Of course, the margin changes, the margin decreases kind of force us to take such similar actions. So that's a main issue. If you decrease the cost somehow, or if you increase your throughput, you will adapt to the decreasing margins problem.
And this feeds into your shifting business model as well, I'm assuming.
Of course, absolutely.
I should ask you, are you cloud or on-premise?
We are mainly on-premise. We are experimenting on cloud products and services, but we still do not rely on the infrastructure, the communications infrastructure, the internet connectivity here. It's still not fast enough to achieve local access network speeds, similar speeds. And also there are some legal actions that need to be taken to make sure that your data is safe, your servers are safe, and your business will not be interrupted in any way through problems of the service provider or through other legal issues, etc. So I think the cloud still needs some time to mature enough, especially in our environment. to make us feel comfortable enough to migrate entirely to the cloud.
So it sounds like in Turkey, for the moment, on-premise is just a more practical option.
Yeah. 90% of similar people like me think this way.
What are the changes, the upcoming changes that you anticipate in the market that are going to force you to respond?
Yeah, actually, the same trend will probably continue. So our margins are going to get narrower every day, and the mobile rush and the mobile popularity will increase every day. So we will have to find ways and adapt to this uh, issue. And actually, we have set up a company of our subsidiaries, which concentrates solely on this mobile environment, the consumer mobile market. And another initiative we have taken is we have kind of merged and placed around our contracts to make sure that one of our companies focuses solely on the value added services like server storage services, database management products like Oracle, HANA, and things like that. So naturally, value-added products and services kind of have higher margin. So that helps us to fight with the ever-decreasing profit margins much better.
So your business model continues to evolve. It sounds quite rapidly, in fact.
Exactly. Our market is a very interesting market. Let me try to illustrate it with an example. I'm going to mention some names naturally, but let's say a brand Apple takes a specific action to increase their sales or to reach deeper channels, etc. In a week's time, you will immediately observe that Samsung or LG or Huawei kind of takes a similar action. So you have to adapt very fast because your vendors are acting very fast. So agility is very, very important for us. That's why I try to concentrate on that agility issue.
It's always hard to change. And so what can you share with us about your experience?
Okay, that's also a great question, Michael. And I will, of course, kind of touch on the issue of migrating to SAP a little bit when giving you these examples, because that's the most significant change we have performed in the last year. And it was a very important step for us also. Choosing the right partners is very important in this SAP ecosystem. So it's not easy to come across very qualified consultants every day in every company, every consulting company. So it's very important to wisely choose the right consultants for the right people. And also, what we did was we kind of tried to train our troops, our internal team of developers actually, to pull themselves up their bootstraps. So they are trained as strong consultants, business consultants of SAP, and also developers of SAP. So what we tried to do is to balance our resources to be more efficient this way by relying less on partners, maybe relying on them on critical issues and doing most of the legwork ourselves. We are saving lots of resources. Actually, the time, in terms of time also, because if you go to a developer consultant development project, it will take, I don't know, 2 weeks maybe. But if you do it in-house, it will take maybe 2 days, much less than 2 weeks, absolutely. So it's important that we kind of trained our team to be experts on this issue. This was an important lesson we learned. And also, we really took advantage of many great resources, training resources provided by the SAP ecosystem. One of them being the Learning Hub, the portal of self-paced training provided by SAP herself. And also lots of ebooks and books published mainly by SAP Press, actually. We really took great advantage of those resources.
So for you, gaining the self-reliance through education has been extremely important.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Because it's never enough to learn a lot about the SAP ecosystem. So it's a huge system. It's a huge universe, actually. So you have to be training yourself every day and every day.